You are watching Channel 97, Access LaPorte County. The next meeting coming up will be the May 17th meeting of the Trail Creek Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting by looking at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Everyone could stand to join us for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
welcome to the May meeting, everybody. Tony Rodriguez is not here this evening, so we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
I'm prepared to talk, but I can wait till I did talk to Tony earlier. So
You're okay with waiting until you report for that? Okay. And if Tony happens to show up in the meantime, then we can stop and revert back. Has the council had a chance to review the minutes?
I have.
You have. Okay. Any questions or comments for the,
I move to approve the minutes as presented for last month's meeting.
thank you, and a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No.
All right.
You got lucky.
And the fund report will be next. Has the council all had a chance to review the fund report for last month? And Josh, I'm going to ask the every month question, anything that stands out? No? Okay. I didn't see anything either, but I always like to double check just in case. Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
Make that motion, we approve the fund report from April 1 to April 30th, 2022.
Thank you, and a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And my own phone goes off. Moving on to payment of the bills. I don't see the check register. Okay. Okay.
I faulted myself, I apologize.
Okay.
I can get them for the end of the meeting. I just wasn't here today and my sister was gonna handle everything.
Do you want us to table that till next week, or
I can do it right now, I can pull it.
if you have time?
Sure.
I don't want to interrupt too much. Do you have something else to record the meeting with, or?
Yes, I do,
Okay,
but there's no correspondence.
I was going to ask that too. Okay, I know Kate is not here, but MS4 has a lot of changes coming up, so we'll wait for Kate's report on that as things move forward. Mr. Willoughby, how are you this evening?
I'm all right. So with Mr. Rodriguez, we spoke earlier. He was touching base, and I believe that Matt Reardon is planning June to start unrolling and making, setting up meetings and doing them. So that is in line. Redevelopment, there was a question on that, and I don't have that, I wasn't involved, but have you had an organizational meeting yet?
No, we have not, so we probably need to set that.
So what we talked about is trying to coordinate that along with what he and Matt will do. So I think that would be to maybe to coordinate electronically to set that date of what we have an organizational meeting for redevelopment, and then I will allow Matt to then work with the tip off and around procedurally. So that's, the crux of, I know Tony reached out, wanted to talk to Tim Haas today and Woodruff just to make sure final plans, and then Bruce, advising Bruce that he needs to finish his subdivision as well. So there's some moving parts, but I think all of those couldn't reconcile and move together. But that was the crux of what Tony wanted to get off the ground, is making sure that if that hadn't happened, that
That does happen, okay. So it sounds like we'll need to set a meeting before the end of the month, guys. So we'll try to set that meeting before we leave tonight.
Well, and maybe might want to coordinate that with Matt, so.
Okay.
And then circle back as a group to see what works, a few dates and times, and set it that way.
Okay.
As far as tasks, I was asked to look at the zoning. for the property on Michigan Boulevard. Do you have that address again?
2311.
The zoning does not permit residential.
Okay,
So you have a decision to make with regard to bringing it into compliance, but it is zoned as general office. So my suggestion would be to reach out either official correspondence or letter from police department, could come from me, could come from the town council, but let them know that how it's zoned and that they should bring it into compliance by either seeking rezoning, seeking a variance. But right now, they're at least given the opportunity, but it looks like upon information and belief that it's being used for residential purposes. And so I know you have the other forgiveness or whatever pending with trash, but all of those together right now it is being used out of compliance with the code.
Correction on the address, 2811.
2811, thank you. And I'm gonna turn to Steve for a minute. What interactions have you had with the owners of the family that's there?
We've done nothing as of yet,
Okay. Okay,
because they've got some cars out there that need to be just the general appearance of the lot.
so I'm wondering if, and council, if you have comments, please speak up, but I'm wondering if we can not only send a letter, and I would prefer that it come from your office, to say, okay, not only do you need to be in compliance with the zoning or apply for the variance, but you also need to clean up your property, because right now you've got these other ordinance violations that we need to get taken care of.
Have there been any citations at all? So at least
There have not been yet.
So then we can put that in that
So we
they
can
will
put
be
everything.
forthcoming if you don't, right, and give them a period of
Correct.
time.
And usually we give them 30 days to get in compliance with the ordinance violations.
Okay.
So that gives them some time, they can get things cleaned up. They can apply for this variance if they so choose.
The junk vehicles, we do 72 hours.
You do 72 hours,
That's
okay.
certainly your,
Thank you.
that's
What other ordinance violations have you seen there?
just the general,
Appearance?
appearance. There's a knockover basketball goal that looks like it's junk.
Okay.
Are the vehicles plated? Are they current? Okay.
And I'll get pictures of those and email them to Mr. Ruby if you'd like to include the share.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Before you do have an agreement for consulting services, I want to explain those. Mrs. Krieger is certainly willing to attend and meet, but that proposal is general of the services. It's a menu, for lack of a better description.
Okay.
But the bottom line is she will do as much or as little, but you're not retaining her. So if it makes you feel more comfortable, she'll amend that and the services can simply read for handbook review, right, and consulting on that and compliance. But she offers all those other things. No matter what, it's just a services agreement and she's only going to do what you ask her.
Okay, so I took the time to print off her brochure, her CV, and her proposal as well. So if anyone hasn't read that here, you can take the time to read it tonight, or you can read it at home. I didn't know if I really want to approve that tonight or not, so.
That's up to you. So that's it. She's willing to do it and she's not really anxious.
There were a lot of services that we didn't need that were listed in there, so we're not a huge town, so to have her do our hiring, that kind of stuff really doesn't, I don't feel like that's needed.
Yeah, and I think that mirrors what she does with other towns, that she doesn't
Okay.
provide all those services. But
Okay. But these
just
are
for
things
clarity's
she
sake,
could do.
we can even change the language to say, as requested, or we can simply just do that one service and others as upon request, something. But, so however you want to word it, and if you put it over,
Okay.
she's flexible. And if you choose not to retain her, that's all right too. So it's just,
So we can
There's a
come
lot
back to
of
that a
that new
little bit
hire
later.
stuff I do because of the system, the payroll system, the W-2s, the driver's license, the insurance, the involvement, things like that.
she's not
Okay.
doing all of those things.
Right.
So I think she just does kitchen sink of, here's what I do offer.
Okay. So we'll come back to that in a little bit as well. Any other reports for us?
I'm just going to fast forward to what something you have in new business, which is the ARP, and it's technically an ordinance.
Okay.
And there's twofold. You have to approve a plan, and then you have to approve the appropriation, the additional appropriation. What Senator and Associate and Josh Levine have put together is all of that in one document versus two. It cuts out a step, but there's multiple steps because you have to have a public hearing. Josh Levine has already put or will put the advertisement for the public hearing in June. My suggestion is that when you get to that in new business, that you pass on first reading or consider on first reading. You don't have to pass it. Consider on first reading the ordinance that will take care of both of those. There are requirements before you can utilize any of those funds. And then what that will do is give you flexibility for future meetings, because if you were put that all into the June meeting to pass an ordinance in the same meeting that it's introduced, you need a unanimous vote to do so, and considering one of all elected members. So, you know, if you're missing one member, that's going to cost you at least a month unless you or another meeting. So when you get there, that's my suggestion, that you at least consider it tonight, and then that would put her on track to do what she needs to do. And that's all I have.
All right. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Thank you. Any report from Mr. Haas? No. Okay. I did speak with Jim Ganshaw from the Park Department, and I'm sure you did as well.
Yes, I did.
He's looking to pull together another meeting of the Park Department. Do we have openings on that board right now?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, but he is looking to pull together a meeting very soon, so hopefully that will happen. I see our building inspectors here in attendance this evening. How are you, Mr. Thomas? Any reports from you?
No reports, I just had a question if
Certainly.
any follow-up's been done on some of the properties, like on Cold Spring and that we talked about the last meeting. The house with the missing siding.
Right, it's suspect that Mr. Favino going on.
Okay, I have not done any follow-up on that one. I don't
There
know.
was a letter sent prior to last month's meeting, but I don't know about any follow-up.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll need to check on that. I did check on the piece of property that he was questioning over on Highway 20. There was one piece of property that the former Abrams Woods that they'd like to develop with duplexes, I think is what the developer wanted to put into place there.
And how it's zoned.
And how
right
it's
now.
zoned. Now-
In Beacon.
The thing to keep in mind is that Beacon shows how the property is assessed, not how the property is zoned. And there's a wide variation there between the two oftentimes. And so that property right now, I did speak with the assessor's office. It was being assessed as commercial, which is a lower tax rate than a residential. Going forward, they're going to correct that to residential, so that is taxed as residential going forward. They have suggested that we not move backwards on that, just because of the potential, I don't want to say harm, but it could cause some unhappiness with the landowner
Got it.
and displeasure. So rather than cause a further rift, we'll let that sleeping dog lie, and we'll just move forward and tax it the proper way going forward. And that's really their decision, and not as much ours to make. So that's the update on that property. Any others? Okay. All right. Planning and zoning has not met, correct? Our police department. And while you're standing there, let me say happy Police Week, and thank you to you and your crew for what you do for us every day.
That is the first thing on my agenda. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Week Day, the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week paid special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty and the safety and protection of others. It's our 1 week out of the year that I don't want to say that we shine, but we get a lot of accolades, and I know if you see the guys, they appreciate that. I know on social media I posted that somebody brought us a nice basket of snacks and treats, and that's very much appreciated, and it's not uncommon. But thank you for saying something, and That was a great lead-in
Certainly.
to my opening. The radar trailer has been deployed. As I discussed, it's over on Whippoorwill by the park, because this time of year, that's where we get a majority of our traffic that, and it's designed to point out the speed. So it'll be there throughout, the heaviest part of the summer when the ball games are going on. And then we'll move it somewhere else, usually Johnson Road or Green, one of the mains.
Okay.
Along with that, no parking signs. Every year we put out no parking signs around Concord Park and Nelson Park. They're temporary no parking orders. I just want to remind the public that those signs are on public right-of-ways. They are not on private property, and it is unlawful to remove them. We discovered 2 permanent no parking signs were removed over on, we believe it was Edgemore, but it could have been Starling. I did speak to the homeowner next to the park yesterday, and he seemed surprised because he didn't remember any signs, and he was appreciative that we put a sign in his front yard yesterday. So not sure where those signs came from that we found. The permanent metal post and sign that says no parking. So, but we'll get them back up, and we may want to consider over time, because it could be costly, start placing signs around our parks for no parking or permanent signage. So we don't have to go out and do this every year. Go out, pick up cones that are blown over with our signs. It's high maintenance, but it's worth it because we have to keep those roadways clear for emergency vehicles and for our residents to get through. Lastly, the 2022 Charger. Thank you, Josh Lane, for your hard work in getting that done and getting it checked. We picked it up about 2 weeks ago. Week before last.
Charger?
Durango.
Somebody's listening, good job. Yes.
I was waiting. I was waiting till.
I have Charger on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2022 Durango.
Okay, all right.
We picked it up a week before last. It's in the garage. We had our final walkthrough inspection with Bartronics. Bartronics is going to be doing the upfitting on it. We cut out some things that, the under lights that just seem to always quit working. And we added, things like a rifle rack, and we were able to include the scanner, and we were still $1,500 cheaper than what we anticipated. Most of the stuff is in stock. The one thing that they don't stock is the console, which is the most important part. But understandably, they don't stock them because model years change year to year, so they have to order those each time they need one. And that's what's going to take us anywhere from 60 to 90 days to get. It goes in Thursday to Steintor Signs down in Wanata for the graphics. The graphics are going to be our usual graphics. If you can picture, it's got our star on the front and then the swoosh down the side that says Trail Creek and then Police. We did change the star. I did point that out to you. We used to have the eagle inside the star. We've changed that now to the seal of the state of Indiana, but it also says Serve and Protect on the car. Because somebody did make a comment about that, one of the general public, and I can understand their thought behind it, but we didn't take that off of our patches for that reason. We took it off because we're more along the lines of an officer in the state of Indiana. On the back, it's got our county web address, and then it says police. And as an afterthought, I was going to add the U.S. flag to it, but they have a minimum shop fee, even though it's already going to be in there. So we'll just start with the next one, and maybe just add it someplace, take it someplace else and get the U.S. flag put on there. But other than that, that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Sia? Comments? All right.
Again, I can't thank you guys enough. You guys support us throughout the year. I appreciate all the conversations and all the help. You guys are very easy to work with, and really appreciate that. And I know the guys appreciate it. So,
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Keep up the good work, Marshall. Thank you. We appreciate you.
All right. Moving on, anything from Joe about the town for street department?
No, other than leaf season's done. They last month discussed a lot of road batch. And he just wanted me to let everybody know that he's picking up sticks, limbs, and branches in bags once a week.
Okay.
The yard's bags.
And I've heard great comments and feedback on that, so.
Yes.
So we'll put out, similar to the leaf pickup flyer that we did, we'll release a sticks, limbs, branches flyer fairly soon so that people can see how to do that. And it'll help maybe with some education on knowing the small piles from the big piles and what to call for, what to put in your bins.
Can I take the podium again? So I got a message on social media yesterday. Somebody asked me about yard waste. I told them to call today, but she's like, I'll forget. I know I'll forget. But she says they haven't been picking up her yard waste in the 600 block of Pine Tree. Just wanted to throw that out there while you're on the.
No,
We've had quite a few people that have had that same problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I'll message her back and let her know that she's not alone and that it is something you guys are addressing.
and I would put it out on Friday.
Put it on Friday.
I would actually
How do they-
put it down out Thursday evening.
Yeah, Thursday evening.
For
but-
Friday
If they're
morning
putting
pickup.
trash in and
Do they have two?
I don't know.
We're trying to get everybody a yard waste cart.
I'll make sure she gets one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely have her call to get the yard waste cart, but if people can put their bins out on Thursday evening for Friday morning pickup, then there's no excuse of why they didn't pick it up.
Right.
And we want to take away that excuse from them. So put those
I'll make
bins
sure
out
she
Thursday
has
evenings.
one, and I'll call.
The ordinance is 24 hours, correct?
The ordinance, I believe, is 12 hours.
Oh,
It's 12.
okay.
So, but you can't predict if they're going to be there at 6 in the morning or at 3.
Depending on where they
So,
start.
You know, not that we're a little lenient on that, but we're not as stringent on that as,
Right.
you know, as within that 12-hour period.
You're saying they'll take the yard waste with regular trash then?
Right, they do.
I'm sorry, no, yard waste, you're right, Sunday evenings for
Sunday,
yard
right,
waste,
for Monday.
Thursday evenings for trash.
Okay.
But if
Thank you
they
for-
miss you on Monday, if there's some people miss, they will pick up their yard waste on Friday.
Okay,
So there's the
There's no
answer.
confusion.
that's good to know.
Okay. Moving along to NERC before we go back to the checks.
I did have a meeting the Thursday after the last time we met.
Okay.
We just did some budgeting changes and some welcomes to new attendees on the commission.
Okay. Glad to hear that things are back to
Yes.
almost normal there, so. All right, so circling back, we're gonna go back to approving the repayment of the bills. And council, if you'll take a moment just to review this and ask any questions or make any comments that you have. I like this new format.
Yeah, it's,
I do.
It's a different format.
It takes away the need for a lot of questions for us.
yes.
Does it?
It does. They have that little check memorandum that's very helpful.
I agree 100%.
I think it adds an additional description too, which is nice.
Exactly.
Jocelyn, have we seen any, since they've still changed over to streetlights,
I was gonna ask the same question.
with the new bulbs, have we seen any decrease in billing?
If any, slightly.
Very slightly?
I wonder if it's just too new, or if they haven't changed all of them out.
I don't know that they have changed them all.
I think they have.
I
Maybe
know
we're planning
The only ones that I've seen that haven't been changed out are the 3 at Nelson Park and
Okay.
this one here.
Okay.
And I've talked to NIPSCO, they're gonna try to get the line back so we can get these power back up.
Thank you. And that's from the post that was hit not too long ago on
No,
But,
what
no,
was
this
the
one,
line.
that's for here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
when
actually,
they buried the lines,
They never
They
put that
never
one back.
reconnected
Okay.
these two
They need
posts.
to do that. Okay, I have no questions. Anyone else?
I have
Questions, comments?
good.
If there are no questions or comments, can we have approval for payment of the bills?
Move to, I move to pay the bills for April 2022.
I will second that.
Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Jocelyn, for getting that for us so quickly. I appreciate
Sorry
it.
about that.
So we'll move on to old business with Hoppy Enterprises. So that would be the adjustment for their refuse bill at 2811
Correct.
Michigan.
I just don't know where you guys want to go.
So when Chris gave his report, he let us know that that is actually zoned commercial for general office use, not residential. And so we're gonna have him send a letter to the owners to let them know they need to bring that into compliance, either apply for the variance or or make sure that that's appropriately used for that property. He's also going to let them know that they need to clean up their property to get it in line with our other ordinances, to remove the debris and the cars that have been sitting there not plated for some time, so.
Is this, if you do this portion, then are we treating it separately?
I think we need to treat that separately,
For sure.
gentlemen.
Yeah, separately.
I don't want to do an if-then letter,
Yeah, no.
No, that's.
because I don't want to agree to something that I'm not sure about yet.
Yeah.
So I would rather treat those issues separately. So the refuse bill, I'd rather, hold off on that.
Hold off.
I would like to table that for another month.
See if they comply within the 30 days.
Do you want me to include any discussion in that letter that we want to remind that that's a pending request, but it's not going to be considered until we get past this issue? I mean, is that too close to an if then to you? The whole point of that is to communicate with us that you have it still pending.
Right.
It's up to you.
Maybe it wouldn't be an if then, it would be and.
Yeah.
There's this still.
This is still on the table.
Right, this is still pending also.
Be considered.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it would be.
It's still not a guarantee that.
That's not an if-then,
Right.
so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think it would be in addition to.
I agree.
Yeah.
That way she won't, at least if they're beating down her door that it's not getting done or that request is getting.
Right, I just didn't want it to be you have to do this for that. I was not gonna write a letter out of my office indicating that.
Right.
No, I don't think that would be-
Treat it separately.
Yeah, I agree with that also.
Yeah,
At this point, I don't think it would be appropriate from your office, because I think that
No.
this is,
it never was, no.
Definitely
So,
understood.
okay.
Can I
So-
bring something up on that? 'Cause there was a motion a couple of months ago. You guys need a motion to rescind that motion?
That's,
if we table it, it can just stay there.
I just want to make sure it was.
you guys made a motion like 2 or 3, maybe it was March, to approve the adjustment,
Right.
which meant wiping out her fees other than collection cost. And then
Right.
a few days later, I got a call to hold off. So maybe in this.
Well, and we were, because I think you were gonna research on if we would still be charged even though they didn't
Well, that's
collect.
not touching base on what your agreement, right? So that part I haven't talked to, but
Right.
it probably is appropriate to take a vote. I don't remember what your decision was with regard to those, but to at least.
It was to try to collect everything
Their fees only.
correct.
Fees only.
Right, we will waive everything except for the collection fee. But then there was discussion as to, well, if they don't collect, why is there still a fee?
Yes, and that was something she and I.
Right.
Do need to cross paths on that, but I do think it's probably appropriate just to rescind that and put it on hold for now, a decision on that.
Okay. So can we have a motion to rescind then the adjustment for the refuse bill for Hoppy Industries?
I'm pretty sure I made the motion.
Okay.
So I will rescind my motion of collecting, or of not collecting the actual town fee, but collecting the collection fee for now.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So it passes unanimously. Thank you for-
As long as it's
you for
understandable.
Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for your advice on that. Okay, so moving on to new business, then we have the ordinance, the first reading of the ordinance for the
Yeah.
ARP funding
By title only, right?
by title only, correct? And so I don't know if you
You have
have
it. I have
the
it.
ordinance
I have
with
it.
you?
So you take care of it.
Okay, I'll read it.
So
So
whoever has the ordinance, if you can read that title?
it is an ordinance of the town of Trail Creek, LaPorte County, Indiana, to affirm the Trail Creek Fiscal Recovery Committee, approve Trail Creek Fiscal Recovery Plan, and appropriate monies within the ARP fund. So that is the title, and again, tonight is just by title only, and that allows you to move forward at the next meeting. And there will be a public hearing as is required, put them in full compliance, assuming you approve it at the next meeting. And then would authorize Jocelyn to make disbursements of those funds.
Thank you.
Your public hearing will be when, in June?
At your next regular meeting.
So do we have a motion to
Approve
To
the first
approve.
reading.
I'll make that motion that we approve the
The first reading.
first reading.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that passes. And then we have the HR proposal or / agreement for services from Pam Krieger. And I don't know if all of you have seen this or not.
I
It
have.
was sent via email. She's got quite a laundry list here of things that she can do. I think the biggest one that we were looking for help with was just the employee handbook
Yep.
and the policies and procedures. Maybe have her review the job descriptions to make sure they're in compliance. I know, Steve, your job descriptions are a little different. Do you have someone reviewing those on a regular basis to make sure that
Last
they're?
time I talked with council was last year, because I pointed out, we need to look at our SOP. He said our SOP was fine,
Right.
and our job description is part of our SOP.
Okay.
And they really are pretty generic and straightforward.
So yours are fine.
I believe so.
I think we should just have everyone's looked at except for the police department along with all of this.
We actually did an update to the street employee and street commissioner 2 years ago
Okay.
with Bill Herbach, so those are fine.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that you gentlemen would like to see other than the employee handbook then? Okay, so if we can do, make an adjustment maybe to her contract that says the consultant services to be provided as necessary, maybe to the town of Trail Creek, or as
Well,
desired?
just for your comfort level, my suggestion would be that we just parse it down for exactly what you need, which is the handbook
Okay.
review and other services as agreed upon in writing by both parties.
Okay,
And that way, to me, then everybody's on the same page and nobody misunderstands.
okay,
It's fine.
So that if you were inclined to approve that, she will amend whatever. So if you wanted to get that started, if you want to bring it back at the next one, I'll have her amend. Or if you want to approve a services agreement that has only those two terms and her hourly rate, I'll,
can you remind me of her hourly rate?
it's $50 an hour. Yeah, it's on her
I thought it was
services
on there.
proposal, so what we would do is just, I would have her remove, you could approve that version and then authorize council president to sign that, assuming that comes back, and that way it cuts out a month. If you want to bring it back, obviously that's your choice too.
I would be okay with that as long as we pare it down to just that agreement. Anyone
I
else?
like that, yeah, as the handbook and then any other services that agreed upon in writing.
We need to get started on that anyway, so, okay, if we can have a motion to approve Pamela Krieger's contract as amended at a rate of $50 an hour to provide services for the employee handbook and then other services as needed or directed by the council. So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Pamela Krieger's contract.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. And we're on to public comments. So we have two guests in the audience. If either of you would like to approach the podium, we'd welcome your comment if you have any. No? Okay, well, thank you both for being here. Well, thank you for being here. Anything from the clerk's office this evening?
No, I do have a few webinars next week, and then I have my clerk treasurer training the first week of June.
I saw those dates coming up, so I thought you would be going. Anything from the council this evening? Any comments?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Okay.
To the marshal, are we starting fines for yards height?
Yeah, we're doing the yard list every month, or check every week, and we turn it in. Are you guys sending
We
the
are sending
letters?
letters out.
Okay.
So,
Have,
The biggest problem, Scott, is we had so much rain up until about a week.
I know,
Right.
And we have to use our,
this address on Johnson, right by was it Firefly? 504, I believe. The house
vacant.
vacant, they supposedly come once a year, whether it be a Notre Dame game or not. I got hollered at 3 years ago regarding it, and right after I got the call, bam, next day, a service was there, raking, cleaning. This year, no raking, no grass cutting as of yet. It looks horrific.
Just check them on Beacon.
Yeah, you gotta separate that out, unfortunately, the raking. I tried several years ago with prior council to get an ordinance on leaf raking, and it was too subjective. based on opinion, whether there's too many leaves or not. He said that it's basically difficult to enforce, so we can't do anything about leaves, but grass we can, and then it goes back again to, we put it on the list, we send them the letters, then if nothing happens, then we follow up and issue the citations. Last year, we actually issued one citation.
Well, like I say, this property hasn't been touched in 2 years.
You can't walk there. You can't walk by it. I can't walk anymore by the side of the road there anymore. I can't.
Was it one of you two ladies that called me about 2.5 years ago regarding that property?
No, but I looked up them on Beacon to find out who owned it, has the taxes being paid, found out it's owners from Naperville. They're constantly late on their taxes. So, because I wondered, is it vacant? What are they doing with that property? Because it's so...
It still has,
It's so neglected that I can't hardly even walk.
it still has power hooked to it, because you can drive by there at night, the lights on.
Lights on.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this, Scott? Why don't I go around and make a list of some of those extremely overrun, such as that one, and then we'll touch base with them one-on-one and see what needs to be done so we can get this
That's fine.
resolved.
That's
I
fine.
know she can walk right through her all the time.
I'm always waiting.
I was going back, except for she didn't recognize me in my truck, I'm like,
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Another issue, I brought this up to Mr. Herbach. The signage that's laying on the ground still in front of Trail Creek Liquors and Decoys. Personally, I'd like to give them 30 days on it.
So this is something actually that Mr. Fabina brought up last month.
Right.
And we believe that those things were in
Litigation.
And there's nothing that we could do about those, because it's actually state highway property.
I checked, I'm not sure that it is state highway.
Exactly.
They have, the last thing the state did when they finished the Highway 20 project, so literally the last thing is they went in and they poured concrete posts outlining their boundaries.
Okay.
And those are on the north side of those posts.
Okay.
So,
I've heard the litigation, I've heard other litigation from Decoys. Trail Creek Liquors had no clue. Also in back of Trail Creek Liquors, but not in front. I've got 2 signs down and a bunch of crushed brick.
There's a lot of garbage back. There's a lot of garbage
just to
back
say,
there.
because this is one of last month that we really need to have a conversation with Dr. Cora about the overall condition of the property. It's
Yeah.
not just that. If you go back behind Memos and the laundromat, it's, you can't drive back there.
It's a forest.
People are dumping stuff. They've been told about it before and they've done nothing about it.
So do we have photos of any of that?
I've submitted photos numerous times, and I'm more than happy to get more photos.
Who's on shift tomorrow?
Nick,
Nick, okay.
I'll,
I'll try to get out there myself and take photos and contact Dr. Cora.
okay.
And I'll get in touch with him directly.
But noticing yesterday and today, the grass has been cut along Highway 20, the ditches, and also the rear area. So it is looking better per se, but not with the steel structures laying on the ground.
Right.
I mean, litigation or not litigation, personally, I like to give them 30 days notice on it.
That would be a question for Mr. Willoughby whether or not,
If it is-
I'm not sure why it matters if it's in litigation.
Well,
The litigation is over the work itself, not the placement of the poles.
It's been 2 years, well, longer than 2 years, that those,
I'm not sure, is it litigation over eminent domain type issues?
That I don't know.
don't know.
Quite honestly,
The sign.
it ultimately doesn't matter. In my opinion, without knowing all the details, I tend to agree that regardless if they're in litigation, they still have to comply with the ordinances of the town, and that's the fine story.
As for it being matter, I mean, yeah, it matters to me and probably this board.
Yeah,
It
for
does,
sure.
Because it's.
And it's been there for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Longer than
we've
this.
had,
Let me contact Dr. Cora directly
Okay.
first, and we'll see if we can do something that way before we,
let's go with
Proceed
that,
any further.
depending on what you
because he
get
may
from
not
him.
know what the back of the property looks like, and if his
Well,
employees aren't cleaning it up, then that's a whole different issue.
Yep,
So
let's run with that then.
he's got a property manager for a reason.
Yeah, he must have some policies in his leases that
Right.
discuss the
The condition.
condition of property, so.
Yeah.
It's up to him to leave
Because this is an
first.
issue that we have consistently behind us in furniture, so.
And along with that,
It's consistent for years years and years and
The
years.
bad part, I forgot who was, a few months ago, they complained about asphalt dug out by the ice cream shop.
Okay.
Somebody patched it, that back stretch behind Trail Creek Liquors, leading from the ice cream shop all the way back. Everything looks like a war zone. When I say war zone, that back area, when you drive there, you literally slalom gotta go through it.
Okay.
And I about took a header tonight, I cut back through there, about took a head-on collision by someone doing 40 miles an hour going out of the way to miss potholes. So needless to say, well, he salutes me, so I got out of the way. I'll let it go at that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you let it go. Any other council comments this evening?
I was in the wife's car, that's why.
Yeah, let's keep her safe, please. Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
In a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming.
We'll see you next month.
No.